Jason Holmers, thanks for being back.
Yeah.
You've had so much to talk about last time that I swore I'd get you in, and you have so much value to add to our listeners that I want to pick your brain a little bit. I want you to talk about today, Google My Business. You're an expert with that. I know website design is an expertise of yours as well, a specialty. Lead generation and content marketing. I would say what I've noticed with you is you have a system that puts people's leads into automation. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's something that I'm impressed with.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back, Joe.
You bet.
I mean, I had so much fun last time, and I know a lot of people who wanted to work with me, they listened to the podcast first and they found it really helpful. So I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to provide, any tips that I can to the listeners.
Awesome. Well, tell us first, I guess, what the automation lead capture is all about, because that's something that small businesses, unless you're a real tech person or spending a lot of time trying to respond to people, you can't do it if you're
So we're trying to get into, and we are getting into with our clients is, we do the website management, but then we're also trying to educate our businesses that we work with on how to automate things, how to run leaner, how to save money, how to be more efficient. And so, a really good example is, where we like to start is, we say, instead of, if you have something that you have to do every day that the business has to do, a recurring task, instead of asking the question, who's going to do this?
Yep.
And, all of your people are maxed out, or you need to hire more people to do this thing. Try to ask the question, how are we going to get this done? Because maybe it doesn't involve people at all. Maybe the machines can just do it. Then the next questions I usually get are, okay, well, what exactly do you mean? And so I try to give examples. I found the best way to explain how we can leverage automation to just make your business run better. So a super, super simple example is, you go out of town, you take your family on vacation for a week, you turn on the vacation email autoresponder, right? So somebody sends you an email, and your autoresponder kicks in and sends an email back to the person who emailed you and said, hey, I'm on vacation, I'll be back at this date. And so, it would be totally crazy to have somebody in your office responding every single time somebody sent you an email. And so that's automation.
Okay.
You're letting the machine take over and send a recurring task. And so we take that thing, that idea, and we try to apply to all sorts of things.
So like texts.
Yeah, so for example, everybody uses text messages. So more examples would be, somebody goes to your website, they request information, and we send you the normal email, but then we can also send a text to the business owner or the sales manager so they get that alert right away. We can add people's information onto Google Sheets, so an online spreadsheet. We can add it right into somebody's CRM, their customer relationship management tool. And so what we're doing here is we're trying to save somebody time from manually entering information.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. Are you working from their CRM, or do you have a CRM that you suggest that they use? The text responders, is it all one package that you put together, or do you take what they have currently and make it all work together?
So either, really. I mean, the big thing is, everybody's businesses are running on different programs. So Microsoft Outlook is a program. Salesforce.com is a program. Even sending text messages, that's a separate program.
Yeah.
And so what we do really well is we use what's called an API to connect all these things together to automate stuff. So all these different programs can talk to each other.
Okay.
Right? So we can take the text messaging and next step. Somebody fills out the form on your website, you get an email and a text notification. We can respond to that customer for you with an automated email and an automated text message back to the consumer or the person who's inquiring off of your website. And so that, again, that takes the step, the labor off of you in order to have somebody do that right away. But going back to the CRM, a lot of people, there's a lot of CRMs out there. There's, like you mentioned in the last show, people are using Google Gmail and Google Sheets, just to do their CRM. That's the free, simple way to do it. But then there's Salesforce and there's Zoho, and then there seems to be a specialized CRM for every type of business.
Yes.
And so, a lot of times, I don't really care what the CRM is. A lot of it's just personal preference, the user interface. But in order for us to kind of connect it to the whole workflow, it needs to have a piece to the software that's called the API.
Okay.
And that allows us to plug in and connect everything for you.
Okay.
And so we've been doing a lot of that, and businesses have been absolutely loving it.
So that's kind of an extra, in addition to the web design, lead generation. One thing I guess I want to talk more about is Google My Business and online marketing, because that's really where I found you first. Is I was so impressed with your ability to help businesses generate leads and traffic to their website, but then convert. And follow up is something that it's something I've learned about your business recently. I guess you've always had it there, but tell me more about the Google My Business. It seems to be everywhere now. Yeah,
sure. So I think what you're asking is like, how are leads coming in? What's the best option? And so, the way we do it, we try to do a fully managed platform, start to finish, from the website to the automation to getting leads. And one of the great way to get leads is through Google My Business. I'm actually, last year I was invited by Google. They have this program called the Google Trusted Tester Program. And so I think that for all these different Google products that they have these trusted tester programs, and there's usually 20 to 50 people in the trusted tester program for a product. I just happen to be in the one for Google My Business. And so I've had the opportunity to just speak with the Google product team about Google My Business and the things that they're doing. And one thing that's really important to them is they're trying to create more engagement with businesses and Google Maps.
Okay.
So Google Maps, also known as Google My Business, is what people will use to do a search to find your phone number, to find your hours of operation, to find driving directions about your business. And so Google My Business is a massively widely used tool on the internet. And so Google is trying to bring more modern tools that, say, Facebook has been using for Facebook business pages, where you can update pictures and say what's going on in your business. And so now Google has all these tools available. And most businesses that I work with, or the new ones that I work with, don't really know about this. Mm-hmm. So the way that you leverage it is you log into your Google My Business back office, and you make sure your hours are up to date and your phone number is correct. And you can also now have the ability to make these Google posts, pictures of what's going on in your business, videos, or just a status update. And all of these things are really, really important for having your business found on Google Maps.
Sure.
And so, going back to the automation, we've tried to tie it all in where, we create all of our business. It's a simple tool where they can upload a picture and write a post and hit submit, and we automatically, through APIs, post it to your Google page, your Google My Business page, post it to your Facebook page, post it to your Instagram account, post it to any other social site that you're using. So you save time by just doing it once, because logging into Google, to make a post, and then Facebook, and then Instagram, and all the other social networks, Pinterest and Twitter, it could take you an hour just to make one post. And so we try to just make these tools that are simple and you can hit everything at once.
Okay.
So automation and marketing, it all seems to be like blending together now. And so we're just trying to be in the front of it for our customers.
That's good advice on the Google My Business. More advice for somebody trying to do it on their own.
Sure.
So they don't want to invest yet. They want to learn about it and they don't want to hire somebody else to do it. Maybe their company's just getting started, or maybe they're a young entrepreneur trying to start a business much like what you have.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The big things are like make sure you got your website up and make sure you've got your Google My Business claimed, you're keeping it updated, and you got your Facebook page created as well, and you're updating that. I mean, those are like the basic core things. And so when I go and meet with the business, those are typically the 3 things I check right away.
Okay.
You know, is your website up? Is it secure? Is it optimized? Is your Google page claimed? Is your Facebook page created? And just making sure those things are all tight, because if somebody searches for you, if you get a referral, you want to make sure they can find you and the information is right. I mean, the last thing you need is somebody to look you up and your phone number is wrong in your Google Maps, and next thing you know, they're calling the wrong number. They may just give up and not call back.
Yeah.
So
be easy to find. Are they using Google to find businesses?
the important thing to remember is like the trends are always changing. It's like, you know, at the train station, a new train leaves every year. And so you want to get on the train, learn the train, but then get ready to get back to the station because a new train's going to leave. Mm-hmm. And so this year it seems to be Instagram is the big thing.
Okay.
You know, they've kind of taken everything by storm. They've certainly taken over a huge percentage of share from Snapchat. And so, you know, I think this year, 2019, is the year of Instagram. I think that you should be posting, you should be active on Instagram. That's kind of where a lot of the eyeballs are. I still think that when somebody is specifically looking for something right now, you know, the pipe burst in their house or their roof is leaking, I mean, I don't think people are going to go to Instagram to try and, you know, find somebody. I mean, it's just not really built for that, you know. Sure. I mean, people, they just want to see what your friends are doing and businesses you like are doing. I think people are still going to Google and they're just typing in, you know, roof repair in Minneapolis or wherever they are, and they're finding the businesses that show up. And most of the time, the first things that you see are the Google Maps.
Yeah.
And so going back to our conversation earlier, that's why having that Google Maps, you know, up to date and, you know, being all over that is super important, because for a lot of businesses, it's kind of like that. You have a customer, they have a need, they do a search, and there you are.
Yeah. Any tips to showing up on that Google map?
Yeah.
Top 3?
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, some of the things we already talked about, making sure it's claimed, it's filled out, and you're getting reviews. Which is another area that we could talk about, because that's another thing that I feel like a lot of businesses are really confused about, because, you know, there's a lot of tools out there now, and these companies will call you and they'll try to sell you on like, hey, use our review widget and everything. But it's really, really important that if you're trying to build your Google reviews, the only way to get a Google review is if they go to Google, click write a review, and then fill it out.
Okay.
You can't hire a company to manage your reviews on their platform and export them and then import them into Google.
Okay.
That just does not work. You have to have your consumers find you on Google, click that write a review button.
Okay.
That's the only way it's a real registered review. And so that's a really important piece. That's not everything, but that is a very important piece.
Okay. Okay.
Does that answer your question? Is that what you're,
yes.
is that what you're thinking?
Anything else? Any other tips for a business owner to show up, such as filling out your business correctly?
Sure.
Adding in the posts you talked about.
Yeah.
You know, is there an algorithm that we know of that the more photos or the more consistent posts? Is it daily? Is it weekly?
Yeah, same for your website or the maps.
The maps.
Yeah. So there's two things, right? You have the stuff below the maps, and then you have the maps, mm-hmm. and both require a little different strategy. But for the most part, you know, when you're trying to solve a problem, like the problem is, how do I show up? And a lot of people ask me that. One of the questions I like to get into before we say, are you showing up, is what do you want to show up for?
Yeah.
Because if you type in realtor, Plymouth, Minnesota, right, you may get a different result than realtor, or how about best realtor in Plymouth, Minnesota, the results could be different. So one of the things you want to address is, at least in the beginning, is what are a few keywords that are really important to us?
Yeah.
And then start typing those in and see where you show up. And then kind of work backwards from there. So with the Google Maps, you know, if you're trying to show up as the best Minnesota realtor, something that would help you is writing posts on your Google Maps about how you're the best realtor in Plymouth. Having people review you saying you're the best realtor in Plymouth. And so you got to match up these keywords that are being used in other places so that you show up for the words that you want. And a lot of time, you know, the thing is there's no like, you do A, B, C, D, and E, and F, and then you get X, you know? So a lot of it is trial and error. So you have your goals, right, of the keywords you want, and then doing some research online, trying to figure out how can you achieve these very specific keywords, and then playing with things, trying different things to get yourself to show up when those are searched for.
And the moral of the story is stay up to date, stay active, keep your name, address, phone number, business the same consistently throughout all your websites and profiles.
Yeah, that's another strategy. You know, I mean, there's the strategy of reviews, there's the strategy of posting, there's making sure your address is the same as your Yelp page and your Facebook page. There's a whole other thing about backlinks, right? So having other high authoritative sites linking not only to your website but to your Google Maps page. And you know, you just start doing some Google searches and it becomes a rabbit hole really quick. And so that's why, you know, even for us, it's a lot of trial and error to try and figure out what it is you want. But you know, it's really important that you identify what words that you want. Otherwise, you're just, you know, if you don't have a goal, then it's hard to achieve it, right? To get to what you want.
Yeah. Any resources for the do-it-yourselfer other than the Google's suite of products?
Yeah, sure.
Any other free resources or minimal resources?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I talked about this last time, but you know, I still am a big believer in YouTube.
Yeah.
I think there's a video for everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's too much information, and so, you know, I always try to tell people, you know, like, just do some Google searches first. Like, try to educate yourself. I mean, I feel like every day I use it. You know, I'm trying to answer a question that I don't know, and you can try to call somebody that you know. But, I mean, I feel like most of the time, in terms of internet marketing goes, you can find your answer online if you just dig and you have the time to look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't have the time, that's a different story. That's usually when, you know, it's a good time to call somebody like me when you don't have the time to do it because you're so busy running your business.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be handled. But if you have the time, do some searches on Google and YouTube and get the answers to your questions.
That's perfect. Gosh, this has been a huge help. I know you don't look for clients anymore because it's all word of mouth for you. But who do you like working with the best?
Yeah, so we get a lot of referrals. That's one thing. You know, when I started this business, it was such a grind of calling people and trying to get people to give me a chance. And now we get a lot of referrals, all types of businesses. We tend to help businesses really well when they're home service businesses.
Okay.
So if you are a business and you help homeowners, chances are all the systems I've set up can really plug in very nicely to what you're doing.
So the trades, plumbers, electricians,
plumbers,
contractors,
you know,
handy people.
Yeah, those all insurance agents. You know, we're really helping those businesses a lot because we have a lot of experience with those, and you know, we're starting to get calls all over the country now, and so we're learning, you know, things that are working in other markets, and we're bringing them here, or things that have worked here, we're bringing them to other markets, and so it's all really, you know, the whole system that we built with this home services just keeps like improving on itself.
Yeah,
and getting better with
The
every
snowball
client,
effect.
Yeah, I mean, we help all sorts of businesses, but for the ones that really want like the full suite, they want the automation, the website, the leads to flow right away, at like the lowest cost possible. If you are a home services business, we are usually a really, really great fit.
I love it. How can they find out more about you and Oxsome?
Yeah. So,
Website designs.
yeah, our website is just oxsome.com, which is oxsome.com. It's just really, the website is just, you see it right on the top. What's your business? Tell us about you, and we'll get back to you right away. We keep it really simple. All of our sites are very simple. We found that to be the most effective.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Anything you want to ask of our listeners?
Well, do they answer back?
You know, they do.
Sometimes.
They do. Sometimes we do get some really good answers. Sometimes we get skunked. But
yeah. Well, I always like to know, a really fun question is always like, how are you getting your business now? It's really, there's so many ways these days. There's like billboards, and there's direct mail, and there's referrals, and there's Facebook advertising and Snapchat. I mean, it's just like there's something for every type of medium. And so it's always fun for me to hear, how people are getting the majority, how businesses are getting their new business.
yeah,
I think there's always a lot to learn with that. So appreciate you having me back and talking to your listeners. And, if any listeners have any questions about, internet marketing, websites, please reach out. You don't have to be a client for us to help you with, simple questions.
cool.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.